Hey everybody, I'm here today to show you how to check car shocks easily. In this video, I'll be going over the basics of checking car shocks, and I'll be going over a few simple things that you can do to see if your car shocks are good or if they should be replaced or looked at in the near future. Let's get right into the video. The first thing that you want to do is go outside the car and go to the front end of the car. You can also go to the back, but I recommend starting with the front. What you want to do is you want to put your weight on the front end of the car. So just get your weight and push down on the front end of the car as hard as you can. Like, put your whole body weight on it. And what happens is you'll notice that the suspension and the shocks are actually going to go down, okay? So you want to push the car down, and once the shocks go down, once the shocks are down, you want to release them. And once you release your weight from the car, you're going to notice that it's going to rise back up. Now it's going to do one of two things. It's either going to just go up and go back to where it originally was, which is a good sign, or it's going to bounce a few times, which is not a good sign. If your car bounces a few times, that usually means that the shocks are really worn, and that you should get them looked at or replaced. If the car just goes sort of from its lowered position to just like one simple bounce to its original position, that means your shocks are good. Also, how spongy they feel is also a big deal. If your shocks are going bad, then they're going to be really spongy. Now you can see this is pretty much a brand new vehicle. It's only about 2 years old, a year and a half, 2 years old, and you can see that I'm putting a lot of weight on it and it's barely even moving. Like, I'm really pushing down and it's barely even moving, and that's because the shocks are pretty much brand new. They're not really worn in that much. It's a very new vehicle, so that's what it's going to look like. Now I'm just coming in the car right here. I'm just going inside of the car so that we can sort of talk a little bit louder, because it's sort of like a busy street. There are lots of cars driving by. I don't want to disturb anybody. So I have some notes down here I'm just going to glance at. Okay, so for the first one, like I said, you want to put weight on the front of the car, release it. Generally speaking, if it just goes back up and then to its original position once, then you're good to go. If it's bouncing up and down, not a good sign. Now you want to replicate that while you're not outside of the car. While you're in the car, you want to feel what it feels like. So the second method involves driving at low speeds and stopping the vehicle suddenly. You want to drive at low speeds, slam on the brakes, okay? Do this on an empty street or in an empty parking lot, because you don't want to do this during traffic, obviously. And when you slam on the brakes, the front end of your car is going to dip down. Now, when it dips down and it comes back up, when it dips down and it comes back up, it's either going to just come back to its original position, which is good, like it's going to bounce once, or it's going to go like this, which is not good. If you notice that it sort of bounces and it keeps slowing down like that, not a good sign. If it just goes down, up like that, you're good to go. So basically, if your shocks are good, it should just recover easily. If your shocks are not good, it's going to keep trying to recover slowly and surely. The third method is to actually look at the shocks. So you want to go and do a visual inspection of the shocks. Now, I actually should have stayed outside of the car for this, but there was lots of cars driving by. I was kind of getting a little bit embarrassed. I'll get over this fear sooner or later. Anyways, I'm just kidding. I'm not scared of talking in public. Anyways, back to business. You want to look at the shocks. So literally, take your eyes and look at the shocks. Now, most cars, you're going to be able to just see the shocks. In some cars, you're going to have to peel back the well of the fender, or the paneling of the fender to sort of see them. But you want to do whatever it takes, even if you have to take off your wheel to inspect the shocks. You're looking for wear, you're looking for corrosion, you're looking for any rust, any peeling, anything like that. If you notice anything if it looks like it's in bad condition, chances are you should probably replace it soon. So just look at the general condition. The fourth thing that you can do to check for car shocks, to check your car shocks easily, is listen for the sound. Car shocks, when they're in good condition, shouldn't squeak, okay? When you go over a speed bump, even if you're going like really quickly, you shouldn't really hear a squeak, okay? As they get more worn in and as they get older, they start to squeak. Now, if you're flying over a speed bump, like you're flooring it over a speed bump, you're driving off curbs, whatever the case is, and you hear a squeak and your car's old, that's probably fairly normal. That's normal wear and tear. But if your shocks are squeaking whenever you hit any sort of bump, that's when it's time to look into getting new shocks, or just, maybe even lubricating them in one way or another. Okay, last but not least is the fifth method for checking your car shocks, and that's to feel for multiple bounces over speed bumps. Now, speed bumps are the perfect thing simply because they already allow your car they test the suspension of your car. They test the shocks of your car by allowing it to bounce automatically. It really puts a lot of strain on the car shocks. And if your shocks are in good condition, then like I said, you're going to go over that speed bump. You're going to basically recover like this. You're going to go over the speed bump. You're going to bounce, the shocks are going to take the impact and come back to normal. So you're going to go over the speed bump, boom, like that. Very simple. You're only going to get the shocks absorbing impact once. So as you go over, the shocks are compressed and then they release, and that's it. If your shocks are old or worn or need to be looked at or replaced, then as you go over the speed bump, it's going to be like, woo, we're on the ocean. It feels like you're on a boat, okay? You're going to feel a lot of bumpiness. And that's, well, like I said, that's a sign, a telltale sign that you should look into getting new shocks, or at least look into getting them looked at, because maybe there's a small component that can be replaced instead of the entire shock or the entire strut assembly, but look into it. That's the point of this. These are not guaranteed things that are wrong with your shocks, but these are, if you see these signs, especially if you see multiple of them together simultaneously, it's a good telltale sign that you should really consider replacing your car shocks. And that's it. In this video, I have shown you and told you how to check your car shocks easily. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more great car and driving videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.